Welcome to the Bruins Benders Podcast, Season 4, Episode 20 with Maddie and Smitty, brought to you on the Inside the Rink Podcast Network at InsideTheRink.com. In this episode, we will discuss, is David Pastrnak actually a candidate for the Hart Trophy? Don Sweeney doubles down on the two-paths philosophy. And is Hampus Lindholm actually the missing link? All that and more coming up in this very episode. Hit subscribe on the Inside the Rinks YouTube channel and follow us on social media at Bruins Benders. Use this coupon code, this QR code rather, on your screen to purchase event tickets through Ticketmaster. And follow each of us on X at Benders Smitty and at Mr. Matty Barry. And here we are. One night after losing to the New York Rangers 3-2 in frustrating fashion. First time you've lost in regulation after being up after two periods. Can't lose games. Can't lose many games. Still terrible on the road. And then your general manager in the intermission says, still in it. Still in it to win it.
Yeah. I didn't love any of it. None of it. I didn't love the way they played, especially in the third. Just don't manage the puck well. That's been kind of the theme all year long. They don't manage the puck well. They turn it over at bad times. Brandon Carlo, rims it up the boards right to Zibanejad to Panarin, and you're down. So, and that's been pretty much the story of the year. It looked like Brandon Carlo might be turning a corner. Yeah, he had a pretty good game against Minnesota, but against the Rangers, back to the same old, which has been the story for most of the guys on the team this year. Everybody's pretty much underperformed. So this is what you get. You get a team that's floating around 500, wins a couple, loses a couple, wins a couple, loses a couple. And here we are, fighting for a playoff spot with one game to go before the Four Nations break.
I wonder why everyone's underperforming. Maybe it was the fact that none of them played in the preseason, like virtually none of them. Maybe that starts it. And then it's just odd to me that you'd have literally like 18 guys.
Yeah.
That are underperforming. It's like it's unheard of.
Yeah, the vibe around the team, I don't think was good. In preseason, you had a bunch of guys that were hurt. They played, most of the Providence Bruins players, most of the games. Guys banged up. Pastrnak was banged up. Marchand coming off 3 surgeries. So they couldn't really develop a lot of chemistry. I don't know if their conditioning was where it needed to be early in the season. And then Montgomery was kind of, his body language sucked. Like they didn't come to a contract extension. He was a lame duck. He knew there was going to probably be issues. I didn't think the team was that great coming out of the gate. I thought they overspent on some guys. And didn't have enough scoring, and that's kind of all played out. And here we are, in a bad spot. The Bruins are in a bad spot right now.
Yeah, it is, and it's a little bit scary because you're not sure what's going to happen beyond the season. You don't have a lot of young talent. Your young talent is probably 3 years away at best. You have maybe Brad Marchand moving on, and Trent Frederic and Morgan Geekie and Justin Brazo and all these guys that are free agents, Beecher and Lowry, RFAs. So there's a lot going on there. I'm just not sure you have a plan.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting offseason. And maybe or maybe not an interesting trade deadline. You and I think both are of the belief that they're going to hang around right up until the deadline, and then tank immediately after that when they can't get rid of assets that they should be getting rid of now, and it's going to cost them. And we both think that'll probably happen because they have 10 road games in what is it, February, March?
February 10 to 4 home in February.
Yeah. So. That's not, they don't play well on the road. So that's not really a recipe for success. And they play some good teams right after the trade deadline. So, that's probably where you see them sink, and it'll be too late to do anything about it as far as recouping assets and moving on from some guys who probably aren't part of your future. So you you're stuck that way, and Sweeney is, as the episode title says, a sackless goof, and will not make a move before that because he's afraid for his job. And if he wants to keep his job, he's got to try to make the playoffs at all costs, and that's what it seems to be he's going to do. He's not gonna plan for the future. He's planning for right now because he needs his job.
I mean, he has okay from Cam Neely, who said that not worried about the future, worried about this year, and we think he will make the playoffs and so forth. So, yeah, that's why Sweeney can kind of double down on it, as we'll talk about in a minute. Like, that's why.
Sure.
Is because Neely signs off on it. The Jacobs say, hey, get us to the playoffs. I don't give a shit what you do.
Yeah.
Squeezing the life out of this team, just trying to get them there somehow. There'll be some sort of move. Look at some veteran guy, I'm sure. And then they'll give it a go and see what happens.
I mean, I can't wait until they trade like a second-round pick for some shitbag, that plays fourth line. Like, they don't have enough fourth liners.
Yeah, that's going to be beautiful. That's going to really speak to your offseason when you have to go trade for a fourth liner because the 6 of them that you friggin' signed didn't work.
Yeah, and they can't afford to go out and add a real piece because they don't have any cap space because they used it all on questionable signings, and then the roster was incomplete, as he said going into it. You left yourself short in the forward group. Producer Connor thinks our boy Sweens has a 2 or 3 year plan where he took care of the defense, and next offseason he can focus on the forwards. I hope he's right. I really do. I hope he attacks the forward group and signs 2 or 3, good players. Ehlers is out there, Marner's out there, Rantanen may or may not be out there. There's some talent, but the cap goes up for everyone, and you got to convince them to come here. So you're going to probably have to overpay coming off what looks to be, a poor year or a down year.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll go through a quick rapid review right here. And it was January the 30th versus the Winnipeg Jets, a 6-2 loss, 14-3 combined score against one of the top teams in the NHL. Should be some sort of barometer of where you are, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
Should be telling.
Yeah. And the goal differential, I think, is a barometer. Mm-hmm. Like, most of the teams in the playoffs have a plus goal differential.
Yes.
It's like you and maybe one other person that does not. One other team that does not. So that's a barometer as well. And I don't know why, and we've talked about this a lot, I don't know why they look at this team and think, yes, playoffs. Mm-hmm. Where everybody else with eyes looks at this team and says, yeah, they're not really good enough. Not really good enough.
They just aren't good enough. And that's the issue at the end of the day. That's what we've known for 56 games, or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
That's what we've known, is that they just aren't good enough. Your general manager and you weren't good enough. I mean, that's that'll tell you everything right there. He told you that you weren't good enough. So it's not a surprise. Now, they still are surprised that they aren't better than they are. Like, I really think they thought, you know what, we're good enough to make the playoffs. Let's get these 2 guys.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll still make the playoffs. And then next year we'll do that plan Connor's talking about. You know what I mean? Maybe that's what they thought. And then when they played so poorly, which is their own fault, because they left their lame duck coach hanging out to dry to the point where he didn't want to be here anymore. And it just became a disaster.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's 100% true.
You talk about roster management. How about some fucking employee management?
Yeah.
Like, that's ridiculous.
It's terrible. They really bungled the thing from beginning to end. They really have.
Yeah, they did.
And it's gonna, now they're paying the price for it.
Yeah, they're gonna pay the price until the end, and then if they don't move guys that they should, like Frederic and Georgii, if you don't want to move on with him, and Marchand, if they don't do that and they all walk, then that's even worse. Like, that's killing yourself more. You just you're just letting assets walk away, and that'll be DeBrusk and those 3 guys. That'd be 4 legitimate players that you got nothing for in return.
Yeah, I like I said, I really don't know why they are operating this way, why they don't have a plan, why they can't make, hard decisions. Why, I feel like this is where the Sweeney's part comes in. It's like we're buddies with them, so we can't trade them, kind of a thing.
Yeah,
He's like
yeah.
falls in love with his own guys. It's the kiss of death for a general manager when you fall in love with your own guys. Got to re-sign our guys, and don't even get me started on the contract extensions for the third and fourth line guys before you're focused on the elite talent. Why are you signing guys before Swayman is signed? Why did you trade Olmark before Swayman was signed? Mm-hmm. All the leverage, all the everything goes out the window when you do shit like that. He does the whole thing ass backwards, and it's why they are in the state that they're in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's really unbelievable that the two guys that you talked about contracts with in December were Kaslik and Brazeau, as we're learning now, that they had those offers for those two guys, and give multi-year deals. And I think you're right about you kind of said it tongue in cheek, but I think you're right about the Brazeau thing. I wouldn't be surprised if they offered him 3 years.
Yeah.
At like a lower AAV, like 3 for times 1.5 or whatever. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they do that. And it's the dumbest fucking thing you could do.
Yeah. I mean,
it's just multi-year deals for fourth liners. Those guys just rotate right through the years.
That's one of the ways you can save money on the cap and spend the money on elite talent. You don't need to build the roster from the bottom up. You build it from the top down, or you build it, up the middle, however you want to do it. But it's not fourth line up. It certainly isn't that. It's not, let's re-sign all our fourth line guys to 3 and 4 year contracts. How do young guys break onto the team? Oh, wait, on this team, they fucking don't. Sorry, John.
They don't. They don't. February 1st, New York Rangers at home, 6-3 win. Thank God the Rangers are as dysfunctional as you are.
Yeah.
JT Miller, his debut with the Rangers, scores 2 goals, but the Bruins get 6. And get another home win because they're awfully good at home.
They are good at home. I have no idea why.
Yeah.
But they are. and as good as they are at home, they're that bad on the road.
Yes. Yes, they are. Almost flip-flop, really.
Yeah.
They're like 18-8-3 at home and like the other way on the road. It's just ridiculous. Then February 4th, first the Wild at home. A team without Kirill Kaprizov right now. Kaprizov. He's out right now, and he's out for a while. So that really hurts them. They have Boldy and Rossi, who's been, Connor Green has some Marco Rossi little inside scoop. Not inside scoop. That's not true at all. But he heard from different outlets that the Wild may not want to sign Rossi. And that leaves the door open, I think, for, Rossi, a first and a third, and you retain some of Marchand's money. Sure. Sign me up.
I've heard rumors of Marchand to Minnesota as one of the teams that's interested in him. Maybe there's a fit there. Maybe there is.
And you know what? Foreshadowing in the chirps coming up.
Yeah. And just FYI, here's Boston's home and road. They're 18-8-3 at home, 9-15-3 on the road.
Yeah, so there you go. It's almost a flip flop.
Yeah.
On the road. And then you go February 5th, second of back-to-back at the Rangers on the road. What do? You lose it 3-2.
Yeah, and your first regulation loss after trailing, after leading for 2 periods, periods. So just a horrible loss.
Yeah,
a horrible loss, especially after beating a good Wild team who's the best road team in the league.
Yes,
they're like 20. I think going into that game they were 26-3.
Yeah.
And the Bruins, shut them out. Played a really good game overall, and then the next night, you blow a lead and you give away 2 points that you might look back on at the end of the season if you missed the playoffs and said that was a game. That was a game missed away that we should have held on.
Yeah.
And that's why we missed the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. As I said in the post game at the very beginning, this one might come back.
Yep.
This one might come back to bite them at the end of the day. That might be the game where you point at and said, that was it. That was the dagger right there. Hopefully not. Seven Chirps is sponsored by Lops Brewing. Lobster Brewing and Tasting Room in downtown Woonsocket, Island, specializing in small batch ales and lagers. Use the coupon code SPORTS for 10% off your online order at lopsbrewing.com. Follow them at Lops Brewing for new beers and events on the social media. Chirp number one, David Pastrnak. Really now, if you look back at it, having an unbelievable year. And you know what? You can make a case that this could be his best season as a pro because of all that it entails. Like, you just don't have any teammates. Like, to be able to play like this and carry this team with like 30% of the friggin' goal production when he's out there. Like, this guy is unbelievable. So I say maybe the Hart Trophy.
I'm with you. I think if they make the playoffs, he should get votes.
Yeah,
he should. I don't think he shouldn't win it. Unless, and they don't take playoffs into account, but unless he, carries them deep in the playoffs. But,
right.
He should get votes. He should, because it's him and then everyone else.
Yeah.
And that's how it's been now for a few years. He should have got votes. I don't know if he did, but he should have got votes last year too. He had 110 points, and Marchand was next at 69. Like, that is gigantic.
That's the definition of MVP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not on this. Valuable. If he's not on this team, they are bottom of the league.
They are absolute luggage.
Yeah.
Yes. They are absolutely the worst team in hockey, probably, or the last couple. They'd have nothing. They'd have absolutely nothing to go with. And then the poor goaltending and all that stuff in the beginning would have led to more losses, even more than you had. Like, you treaded water there for a while when you probably shouldn't have. But you got lucky. You were fortunate. Now you're probably, friggin' blowing it from here because it's not looking good. Chirp 2, Don Sweeney doubles down on 2-pass philosophy. How does he not see what we see?
Because he's the sackless goof.
Yeah.
That's why.
Affectionate, of course. Yeah,
affectionately called. Sweens, you're welcome on the podcast at any time.
Anytime. We'll take that away. The first thing we'll do, we'll wipe that sucker right away. Sackless goof.
Yeah, we'll take that. Well, yeah.
Big sack goof.
We'll
go with.
Yeah, huge sack. Still a goof, though. Here's Don Sweeney on TNT. Well, it's been a little unique for us this year, getting out of the gate not as fast as we would like. We're in the middle of things. It's a tough exercise to sort of play both sides of the street, but that's almost every year what a general manager is required to do, and test what's out there, what's available, how you can improve, hopefully. We have some areas we would like to, but we have to keep an eye. We've missed Hampus Lindholm all year, at least the last 40 games, and it's affected our group. But everybody goes through injuries. You got to battle through it, got to find a way while I'm out there trying to improve our club. If we have more injuries or we don't do the job between now and the deadline, we may have to take a different path.
One thing jumped out at me. It was about that. If we all give a good effort or whatever that was about, sort of effort, and we all come together and just, to me, it's telling me that there's still a part of Don Sweeney who thinks you guys aren't as good as you should be because you don't play hard enough all the time. Like, I feel like that's a play hard. Like, you got to show me that you guys are going to play hard, and then I'll go get a guy or two, maybe. Like, because he says they got to go give all the effort or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he says that his part after that, like, it was almost this comes after this.
Yeah, I just completely disagree with him. I just do. I just completely disagree. Yeah. He had guys who had Charlie Coyle had a career year as a 32-year-old. Why does he think that's going to continue? It's not. Know. It's going to go back to what he was, which is a 40-point guy. And he's going to be worse than that this year, even because he's aging, because he's declining. He's in his mid-30s now, or low to mid-30s. So that's happening. The rest of the guy, Trent Frederic, before he had 2 years where he was improving, now he's regressed a little bit. Like, so maybe he's found his level, And that's somewhere between where he was when he was playing with really good players, Taylor Hall and others, to now. So I don't understand why he looks at the team now and is like, these guys are better than this. Yeah. I mean, sure, they could play better.
Sure, they could.
But they generally make the same mistakes they've been making like for a few years now.
Yeah.
So this is kind of what they are. You just were bailed out with better goaltending last year.
Right.
And you were a little more fortunate offensively. I don't think they were like means like the players were better. It's just like some of your shots went in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I that's what I think it was. I'd be more apt to call it dumb luck than that the guys were like really good or getting a lot better. I think you just were lucky a little bit with the shooting percent.
Right.
You know, so I going back to it, I just don't see what he sees. I don't know why there is two paths. There should be one path. You should retool. And if you can help this year in the midst of retooling, then go ahead. Mm-hmm. But retooling should be the main objective here. It should be getting better for beyond this year. And if like I said, if that helps you for now, great. But that shouldn't be what you're planning for.
Isn't I mean, right? I mean, isn't it? I don't know. I agree with you. I really have a hard time with Sweeney just because it's constantly, you know, it's just a constant ride the fence.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And that's what just is really hamstringing you. And if you really want to be, see, here's the problem. If you don't do something like you just said, then you inevitably will collapse.
Yes.
Like you just can't get resources. You don't have draft picks. You're stuck in this middle ground, and that's it.
That's the worst place to be, is in the middle.
Yeah.
It's the worst place to be because you'd be just good enough to not get a high draft pick and a guy who could change your franchise. Mm-hmm. And you'll be just bad enough to either squeak into the playoffs and lose in the first round or miss the playoffs by a few points. It's the worst place to be.
Yeah.
So this is why I called him a sackless goof the other day, because he does ride the fence and he needs to nut up and make some fucking decisions.
Yeah.
To better the team going forward. Be bolder. Mm-hmm. Trade Trent Frederic in the middle of the season. You won't miss him. I promise.
No, you won't.
Okay? I promise, Sweens. If you trade him, no one will miss him. I mean, there's Freddie fans out there, but the people who actually watch him play hockey won't miss him.
Nope. Not a lick.
So
I won't.
That's what you need to do. You need to start getting some of these assets back for some guys who aren't going to be a part of your future. It's what needs to happen.
It is 100% what needs to happen. Chirp 3 is Hampus Lindholm, the missing link. Actually, Sweens thinks that it's because Hampus Lindholm has been out almost 40 games or so, that's why this has been the way it has been, even though that tells me nothing because you can't score.
Yeah, I mean, look, he was having a pretty good start to the year.
Yeah, sure.
7 points in 17 games. That's pretty good. Yeah. And he was, you would probably argue, and I would agree with you, that he was one of their best players during the first, 17 games of the season, we'll call it.
Right.
But yeah, he's not the difference. The guy can only play so much. Yeah, he takes minutes away from your Callahans and your Osterleys and your Wotherspoons. And you would, absolutely, you would rather have Hampus Lindholm out there. But to say that, he's gonna be the difference between this team, being 10 games further up in the stand, like, come on.
Yeah, it's just not true.
Come on.
You can't score, and you pointed out a defenseman as the missing link.
Yeah,
you can't score, dude.
I mean, that not only can they not score, they don't do anything well.
They don't
defend well.
There's no elite things.
There's no scoring. They don't pass the puck particularly well. They don't forecheck particularly well. Like, their goaltending has been, average, and then we'll say lately better. Swayman's been better lately, but in the early part of the season, that was a real problem. So you don't do anything really well. It's not just one thing. Like Hampus Lindholm's not going to help in all those areas, So yeah, he's not the missing link, Sweens. You are. You've got to make some moves. You've got to make some decisions. You've got to do some things to help the roster and not leave it incomplete going into the season.
Yeah, true. I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. Chirp 4. Time to move Brandon Carlo, maybe. $4.1 million cap hit for the next 2 more seasons. Okay. His base salary this season, though, is $545. So what makes him even more attractive than you think, maybe, is that base salary next year is 4.2, and the following season is only 3.25.
Yeah, I mean, again, anyone on this team is tradable to me in the right deal. Even Pastrnak, as much as I love the guy and as much as I just called him a Hart, candidate, I would trade him in the right deal. Anybody in the right deal. So Brandon Carlo certainly could be traded. Certainly. If you can get the right package back, if you can get a young defenseman, a young right shot defenseman, and a pick maybe from somebody, do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
This is going to be interesting with him.
Yeah.
Heading into this off season and into next season. Like, are they going to move on from him, or are they going to try to extend him? So I would imagine next year he'd have one more year. I mean, they're not going to extend him for at least 2 more years.
You know the answer to that question. We're talking about Don Sweeney here. You know the answer.
They're gonna ride or die Brandon Carlo into the sunset.
Hell yeah, they will.
On the good ship Clydesdales, whatever it is.
Hell yeah, they will.
Oh yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me?
And look, everybody loves Brando. Everybody loves Brando. I've been a big fan of his. I think when he is right, there might not be a better strictly shutdown guy in the league when he's right.
Yeah, it's he's up there.
He's as good as they come.
Yeah.
When he is right and playing well.
Yeah.
Look, that hasn't been this year. And last year he was goodish.
Yeah.
But this year he's been bad. Outside a handful of games, he's been bad.
Yeah.
So is that him trending in the wrong direction? Is that confidence? Is it, injuries, like nagging injuries? Who knows? But he's not going to give you anything offensively. So if he's not doing the defensive things you need him to do, you got to move on. You got to.
Shouldn't you? I mean, if you're thinking ahead, like this thing ends when he's 30, his next contract, 30 going into 31. That's going to be kind of old for him. You know what I mean?
Sure.
He's big, played a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of penalty kill, a lot of high stress things. He played a lot of hockey for his age. So even though he's only 28 right now, once you get to the end of that contract, he's not as valuable if you try to move from him or if you try to re-sign him. Now he's as most valuable as he'll ever be again. I think we can agree on that. It's like a car depreciating out of the parking lot with him right now. So, maybe you try this off season to see, about maybe making one of those subtle moves to the nucleus and the core and get, I don't know, maybe not younger, but maybe more dynamic or something else from that deal.
Yeah, I would certainly consider it. And I agree with you. I think trading a guy in his 20s looks a lot better than trading a guy in his 30s.
It does.
So if you're trading a guy who's 30, you're like, oh, he's kind of old. But if you trade a guy who's 28 or 29, you're like, oh, he's in his prime.
He's in his prime.
And that makes all the difference. Like, it doesn't make a difference really in his play. Probably it's not going to decline that much from 29 to 30 years old. But it just sounds better when you're shopping them around to other general managers. Trading a 29-year-old or a 28-year-old sounds better than trading a 30-year-old. And you're gonna
his position.
Yeah, his position and his size and reach, and when he's right and he can skate pretty well. He just doesn't have any offensive, talent, any hockey IQ as far as offensive play goes.
And just not a lot of trust in it. He's just not confident.
Yeah, he's not confident in it. But now's the time. I think now's the time. And like you said, if you can get more dynamic, if you can get a guy who maybe can produce some offense, instead of having a bunch of guys who are offensively challenged, shall we say? I think that would be a step in the right direction. I mean, they've talked all year long about how the defense hasn't been scoring for them, or haven't had a goal in fucking 25 games or whatever the hell it was.
It was almost a record, team record.
Yeah. So if you could go that route, I think that would help the team in the long run.
Yeah, 8-team no trade list for Carlo this year, but 3 teams next season. So I keep an eye on that next season in him. This offseason, next season, I'd keep an eye on that. Chirp 5, Matt Poitras and David Pastrnak have played about 10 minutes together and have produced 4 goals. Shouldn't they play together the rest of the way?
I don't know. Is there an analytics guy over there? Does anybody work in this fucking department? Don't they have somebody that deals with these things? I mean, what the fuck? Why do you see this shit on Twitter, but the team can't figure it out?
I know.
Why? And we've talked about this before, but why does it feel like we could run the Boston Bruins better than
and I think other people, kind of like Kraft running for mayor of Boston, other people are jumping on the bandwagon too. Like other people think that we should be the GM, not just us.
No, yeah. I mean, there's tweets out there that like Matty and Sweeney have been saying this for weeks. Like, where's the team? I mean, look, they're not wrong. We have been saying it for weeks.
Yeah.
We liked that they look Sweens. We liked the fact that you sent them down to Providence and gave them a little bit of seasoning down there. We like that, both of us. We were on board with that.
We were on it, and I would have kept them there longer, to be honest.
Yes, but the team is so short of scoring, so bereft of scoring.
Right.
You left the team so short that you had to bring them up. And now you bring them up and you're playing them like 12 minutes, and Charlie Coyle is still getting 18 minutes. And you're playing him with Trent, Frederic, and Oliver Wahlstrom, and he's making those clowns.
And he's still making plays with those guys. Yeah.
So, yes, playing with your best player, and maybe you can develop something. Maybe it's an Oates Neely thing. Maybe it's a Janney, Neely thing. Maybe it's a Barry Peterson, Rick Middleton thing.
Yes.
Maybe it's a Joey Juneau and Cam Neely, but maybe it's a Bergeron Marchand thing. Like, fucking try it out.
Try it out. And wouldn't you want to know? I mean, Matt Poitras is your best young chance, best young player.
Yeah,
you have a chance to be pretty good. Like, wouldn't you want to see if that works now in these last 25 games? Because it can't be much worse than you've had.
I think you would.
Yeah,
would.
I would. Sneaky good move to say, you know what? We're going into next season with Poitras and Pastrnak being real dynamite together.
Yeah.
It's terrific.
Right.
Step 1, then find the step 2.
Yeah. Step 2, maybe you sign Mitch Marner to play with Marchand, and you got a couple of guys that can, pass, or Marchand's traded and you bring in Nick Ehlers or somebody.
Yeah.
And now you got a couple of legitimate lines instead of, half of one line.
Yeah. I would think you'd want to know that ahead of time. But, Poitras has been, really excellent. But the thing about him I like the most, though, is it just seems to be a lot more confident after that stint in Providence. So that really helped. And he said it himself, that really helped. So all the doubters who said, why would you ever send Poitras down and all that? I get the rookie treatment. I think it sucks. But in this case, I think the kid that did a kid a solid. And they've talked about now, like these next couple of weeks, you have the ability to send Poitras down if you want to. So you could, I think they might.
They will
down for a couple of weeks.
I think they will.
Yeah,
I think they will. I think they'll send him down to keep him sharp and let him get some more games under his belt, and hopefully continue to develop his confidence. Like he went down there and scored goals in like 7 or 8 straight games. Like that can only help a young player,
Yeah, it can only help him. So I say just do it. Like it actually could be better. It's tracking to be better than what you have right now, offensively anyway. It
Certainly.
really is tracking that way. So just give it a shot. Trip 6. What happens with Brad Marchand?
I'm still up in the air. You guys have kind of convinced me that I think he's going to move, though.
Mhm.
I think he's made some comments that sound like he's on the verge of saying, I tried my best to pull these guys along, and it just isn't working. And I want to win, and I want to go somewhere where I can win.
Right, because when he was asked, he says something of the "as long as I'm here" thing.
As long as I'm here is pretty
that's
telling.
a kiss of death.
Yeah,
yeah,
pretty telling. So I do. I think he'll probably go somewhere. I like the speculation that producer Connor's throwing around about Marco Rossi and a pick or something like that for Marchand and retain some money. I like the sound of that because Rossi is a productive young player. He's a center. He's on the smaller side, but so is Marchand. But the guy competes. He's not going to back down. He was throwing punches at Nikita Zadorov in the game the other day, in a scrum post whistle. So he's not going to back down. So I think that would be a great guy to kind of fill in here. And maybe, you have Rossi and Poitras on your top two lines, as centers, and you can fill in with goal scorers around them. And then you're cooking with gas.
Yeah. So the other thought is the Colorado Avalanche, obviously, because of Nathan MacKinnon. So Alan Ritchie gets brought up, 20-year-old, first round pick in 2023, center for Colorado. And then maybe he's only doing making $950 right now, the next 2 years, and then he goes to RFA status. So Bruins would probably retain money in this situation, but maybe Ritchie a first and a third,
sure,
as opposed to Rossi a first and a third.
Yeah,
if you can't get Rossi, maybe you get Ritchie. I don't know. And then there's Dallas, and I don't know really what they have for prospects, but Dallas could be a spot. I don't think Pittsburgh will be there in the shitter. Although he'd probably love to play with Crosby, but
I think he would. But I don't know if he would go there and leave the Bruins to go to a situation where they were going to miss the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, you want to know one of those Penguins conspiracy theories? Like this is how they do things to get back to the best in the league.
Yeah.
So the thing about I lost my train of thought. I completely lost. What was I just saying?
We were talking about the Penguins conspiracy theory.
Oh, like the conspiracy theory that they sign Marchand at the end of the season, as a free agent, and then they trade for MacKinnon or something like that, so the three Nova Scotia dudes can play together.
I mean, that's a wild.
That's a conspiracy theory for me because most of the time the Penguins miraculously they were bankrupt. It's like nobody was paying the bills. And then Lemieux comes in, and there's this weird shit going on, and all of a sudden they're fine. You don't hear anything about it, and then John Henry buys them for $1 trillion.
Yeah, boatload of cash, sure.
Yeah, so it's just, I don't know. It just seems like the league has fixed the Penguins before. I don't know.
Well, I mean, you want to talk about conspiracy, you can talk about the draft conspiracies there with the Lemieux going to Pittsburgh because they were bankrupt and stuff is like saved the franchise. And then, they were talking about selling the team. Lemieux buys them, and then miraculously they get the first pick, and it's Sidney Crosby.
Right.
Shady.
Interesting. Shady. Yeah. So that's all I'm saying. Like that could be kind of a conspiracy, long shot. But I think Minnesota or Colorado would be the two places I would think. And I would try like hell to get Rossi. If they don't think they want to sign him or can sign him because of all the other guys coming up, then if that's the guy they're picking to move on from, I say, go get him. That would be a big step toward retool, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He's got 46 points, I believe. Right now.
He was other than Kaprizov, second leading point getter. So pretty good. And then Chirp 7. Who wins the Four Nations? I'll tell you who doesn't. The audience.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Finland wins the thing, just because.
Big Finnish supporter.
Look, they got some talent. I mean, it's easy to say Canada, but their goaltending is a little suspect. U.S. has good goaltending.
They do have good goaltending.
That's probably their strength. And obviously, they have some good forwards. But
I think the fourth line was the Nelson Boldy somebody line. And I was like, wow, pretty good fourth line there. Pretty sneaky good fourth line.
Look, I'll watch the damn thing. And I hope it's U.S. Canada just because that would be fun.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
And because I'm a homer, I'll pick the U.S. to win it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, U.S. wins it. Okay.
Yeah. What the hell? I mean.
Yeah.
Charlie McAvoy scores on a Brad Marchand bad Brad Marchand line change.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, here's my conspiracy. You want my conspiracy?
Yeah.
I think the league slants the thing so Canada wins because they're, trying to uplift Canadian hockey.
Sure. Yeah.
Trying to get it into the league, trying to keep it in the league and all that stuff. And
I wouldn't be surprised by that at all.
They do one of those little sneaky ones.
One decent snowstorm, and Matty is deep in the conspiracy theories.
I am in the conspiracy theories.
He was locked in his closet today, just with string and a big board with pictures.
Yeah.
String connecting all the dots.
Yeah, the Ouija's and stuff.
All up in it.
Hey, what I also was doing in my closet was betting on DraftKings. Do we have a DraftKings Sportsbook? It's Boston's hometown sportsbook. It's live right here in Massachusetts. Bet local on all your favorite sports from the comfort of your own home with DraftKings. To celebrate, all new customers will receive up to $200 in bonus bets when you sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook using code ITR. You can now bet local on money lines, spreads, props, and more with one of America's top-rated sportsbooks. That's DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Sign up with the code ITR to get up to $200 in bonus bets to use. Now that mobile sports betting is live in Massachusetts. That's code ITR only at DraftKings Sportsbook.
If your loved one is experiencing problems with gambling, call 800-327-5050 or visit helplinema.org to speak with a trained specialist. Free and confidentially 24/7. Must be 21 plus, physically present in Mass. Eligibility restrictions apply, subject to regulatory licensing requirements. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as free bets. Terms at DraftKings.com/MA. Damn it, I was so close.
That's unbelievable. Like, I'm just that is we actually celebrated off screen when he got the 50-50 corrected, and then he's 21 and under. It turns into a 45 all of a sudden, and there you have it. But hey, it's getting better. Do you have any start bench cut?
I don't have any start bench cut, and I do have a question of the day. However, a couple comments from a little earlier in the show, coming out with me and having the scoops. Maybe me and Joe Haggerty are hanging out at morning skate. You never know.
Right.
But the question of the day, where is your guys' favorite coffee spot and what's your coffee order?
Okay.
It's a good one. No, I'm a Dunks guy couple times a day, to be honest with you. I'm a Dunks guy morning and afternoon. But I'd say cafes. There was a really nice one in Exeter, New Hampshire once when I was college admissions. I stopped in right downtown there. That was a nice coffee shop. I like the city cafes. I like the city coffee shops.
Yeah, if I'm in the city, I'll definitely hit a place that's not Dunks. But by me, there's not many of those around. So I'm a Dunks guy too. I go in the summer. I go medium iced cold brew with caramel and a little cream, and then in the winter I'm like I do the Keurig at my house really most of the time. But if I go to Dunks, I usually get like a latte or some shit like that, a little fancy.
Okay. Fancy, you get a little fancy pants. Okay, yeah, I used to get the medium. I started with like medium extra back in the day, way back in the day. Went to medium regular, and I'm a medium decaf, 3 cream, 1 sugar at Dunkin' Donuts.
3 creams still
every day. Eredier.
Jesus,
Yeah.
you should change the cream to like milk or something and take, some
But
clog
milk,
in
but
your
milk
artery.
is not as creamy.
No.
Evidently.
You go one cream or two creams.
Why I could actually have down from like, extra
Well, yeah, that's right.
cream.
You were at 5
6,
creams before.
5 and 6 cream. So I'm down to 3.
All
and
right.
I'm actually down to no. I do one sugar occasionally. Now I actually do far more times. I do no sugar. But every once in a while, if I really think I need a little something sweet, a little pick me up, I'll have one again. But I'm down to 3 cream and no sugar in my coffee.
Good for you.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, really. And then Starbucks, you get a Starbucks.
I don't go to Starbucks very often. But if I do that, I usually go. I used to get back in the day. There was one by my work. I used to go and we used to get cafe mochas, which is half hot chocolate.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah,
but it was like fucking $1,000 even back then.
Yeah, it's $7.
It was like
$7.40
or
something.
$7 or something.
Yeah,
which is outrageous.
It's unbelievable. And then you get and then you tip them because the fucking machine tells you to.
So it's like $10 each.
Yeah, you need to throw an extra buck because that's who you are. I get a cafe mocha. It's funny you mentioned it. I get a cafe mocha, and in the winter I was getting the peppermint mocha.
Oh yeah, the peppermint
was
mocha.
Delicious. Yeah, but it's only
around dunks in the time the seasonal ones.
Mocha's good.
Peppermint mocha. I like the pumpkin spice ones too in the fall. I'll hit that. Right now I'm drinking in my Keurig is peppermint mocha mint from what the fuck is the name of the place? Oh, I'm drawing a blank. Oh, Mary Lou's.
Oh, Mary Lou's down the South Shore area. Yeah, they're all over the place. Yeah.
Mary Lou's. But
you can like Mary Lou's coffee.
You can get the K cups at Market Basket. So I buy those.
I do like
mocha mint.
Yeah, that's a mocha mint. Yeah, the peppermint mocha. And I'm not a big. It's funny. I'm not a big peppermint guy, but if it's peppermint with chocolate, like I'm a big that guy. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
So when it's a peppermint mocha drink, it's just really, really good.
Yeah, it is.
You know what else is a beauty is to this week's beauty, and it's Matthew Poitras.
Gonna love you, eh? They're gonna be loving you from dawn until dusk.
There we go.
Yeah, we're loving you. And Poitras has been. I think he's been great. Like there was one slip up a few games ago. He didn't play well at all, but he has really been an offensive catalyst, really, as far as possession and time and zone of anyone.
He has been, and I think one of the big things for him, and one of the reasons I think he made the team last year out of camp was that he wins puck battles along the wall. Like for being a small guy, he competes there, and he more often than not he comes away with the puck, and he's pretty shifty. He's pretty elusive on the wall too, shaking his checks and being able to make plays. So, I think that's a big part of his game because he's not the fastest guy in the world. So he's a little shifty and he has really good vision. So, hopefully he's a guy who can turn into that number 2 center that they desperately, desperately need.
They really do. So playing with the best player.
Yeah.
Please.
And the Bender is the Bruins plan.
Have a Bender.
Yep.
I mean,
Bender,
there's not much
all-time Bender.
Yeah,
really.
there's not much to say about it. It is an all-time Bender. We could pick this every week if we wanted to.
We could. What is the plan?
They don't have one.
They don't have a plan. And the wishy-washy thing means we don't have a plan, so we're gonna ride the wave thing. I don't love that idea. I don't. I mean, if you're the Los Angeles Dodgers, fine, just spend your way to the championship or whatever. Yeah. But in this case, no.
No, it's awful. It's bad. I don't think they have a plan for developing young players. I don't think they have a plan for their hockey club. I don't think they have a plan for their roster. I don't think they have a plan for the front office. Like they don't have a plan for anything. The only guy that has a plan is their traveling secretary who gets them from fucking point A to point B. He's the only guy with the plan. The rest of them
gotta get him to those Team Canada meetings.
Yeah, the rest of them have no idea. Yeah, Sweeney is out there, riding the phone lines for Team Canada rather than the Bruins. So that's spectacular.
Yeah,
when he
really
was on TNT the other night, he got 9 questions about the Four Nations tournament and 1 question about the Bruins.
Yeah, one little passing at the end
Yeah.
that he fluffed off, and then that was it. Good to see you, Donnie. All right.
And now he'll disappear, again in his hole for 2 months.
Yeah, November 19th was the last time.
Yeah, until the trade deadline. Probably talk on the trade deadline.
Yeah, I'll track it. Yeah, and he'll say what he always says. Well, we had our hands in a lot of things, and he just sometimes what's best for business, and we just didn't have the right offer. Just didn't. What does he always say? It didn't not come together, but something like that. Didn't mesh or flow? I don't know what the fuck he says, but
benefit of our hockey team.
Yeah, so, everything's for the benefit of the hockey team, the hockey club, and the club. Okay, Don.
EA Sports. Go fuck yourself.
Producer Connor, you're not helping us get Don Sweeney on the podcast.
I'll tell you what. If he had any sense of humor, he would.
On.
You know what I mean? If he had any sense of humor, I still guarantee you that at least a third of the Bruins roster right now would come on if they had the ability to come on. Like if the PR department would let them.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's a few that probably would love to come on.
Yeah, I think they will. I think Brad Marchand would come on and yell and scream at us and tell us we suck and don't know what we're talking about, and we would love that.
We would.
But
I'll get his number from Hags when I see him at morning skate.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You have to wait a little longer for Hags to get out of the locker room, but
speaking of Sackless Goofs, we would love to have any of the Bruins on. They are all welcome, as is Sweens and Neely. All of our friends over there at the Bruins. We'd love it.
I wish I knew like how many people is actually how many players, because they're all on a bunch of them are on X and stuff. So they might see our hashtag shit go by every once in a while. So I wonder how many would be like, oh yeah, I've seen you guys, or I know that name or something like that.
Yeah, they probably say you're full of shit. Because I mean, look, we are full of shit, and we come at this as from a fans.
We're the fans.
We're not
the voice of the fans.
Yeah, we're not pretending to be journalists. We're not pretending to be hardcore newsmen or anything like that.
No.
We're Bruins fans. We have been for a long time, and when the team doesn't perform the way we want them to, we say that. Mm-hmm. And if they play well, we say that too. And we still probably have a negative slant because they've broken our hearts for 45 years.
They have, and largely they do, except for one time. In the 99 in Waltham, Massachusetts.
Yeah, when we were there watching together, and we enjoyed the fuck out of that night.
Oh my God, that was unbelievable.
Yeah,
that was unbelievable. All right, week ahead. The Bruins will play one more game before the break. February 8th against the Vegas Golden Knights, another ABC game on Saturday at 3:30 Eastern.
That's a big one.
It's a big one. The Vegas has lost 4 in a row, I saw.
Yeah.
They play tonight, I believe. So they could be going in there on a 5-game losing streak. They aren't playing well. The Bruins really need their best effort to win this game going into the break, get some momentum. Don't lose another chance for points because you're just sliding further behind. So this is a big game for the Bruins, and I think they'll win this game.
You do?
Yeah, I do.
I don't.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, because I think it's a big game for them. So I don't think they'll show up. Most of the time in big games, they don't show up.
That's a valid point.
Even though it is at home, if Vegas, especially with Vegas on a losing streak and Cassidy coming back in here, they'll be ready to go. Eichel will score. Vegas will win like 4-2.
Okay, 4-2 Vegas. Okay, I'm gonna go. Like a 4-1 Bruins with the empty net.
Ooh, I love that.
Something like that. I really do. I think Swayman's gonna play. I think he's gonna be sharp, and I think Vegas hasn't been playing great. And I think the Bruins, some will still get up for Cassidy a little bit.
That's true. That's true. I didn't think about it from that way. I thought about it from the other way. Yeah.
So there you go. Like I think they win going into the thing, which makes it even more of a fucking mystery what they're going to do, because they get 2 more points sneakily. They get a little bit closer.
Yeah.
And here you are. Like I'm telling you, there's only 7 games after the deadline. I mean, after the 4 Nations to the deadline. That's it. So you're not going to you're going to still be kind of where you are right now, probably.
Yeah.
And that's not really that much out of it. You know what I mean?
Oh.
So I think they'll use that excuse.
Yeah, I mean, they're hanging around, and they
Yeah.
probably will continue to hang around because the rest of the East is bad too. But that doesn't mean you can win, and doesn't mean you can do anything come playoff time. It just means you're prolonging the inevitable crash to earth when you do finally miss the playoffs, and you haven't gotten any assets in return for guys who are going to leave your team after this year.
Yeah,
That's what it means.
It's 100% it. So I just think that they're not selling. I really think they're going to try like hell to get to the playoffs.
I 100% agree. And look, if you're a player, that's what you should be. That should be your focus.
That should be something that you want. If you're a player right
100%.
now, want to win right now.
Yeah.
So I think that's true.
But as a management, you got to look at the long view as well as this year. And they just don't do it. And they said they don't do it. So
they don't.
That's great.
Not a priority. Your future is not a priority, folks.
Yeah.
No.
we don't give a rat's ass what happens to us next year.
Your future. Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah. Who cares?
Who knows and who cares? 26 more games. 26 more post games. You want to get on the post game live show? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section. Get in to the comment section. And let's just, I mean, I've had some nights where those things are so full, I can't get to them all. Not even close. Like,
I know. Yeah.
Tons of people that become a little community in there. And again, voices of the fans, being able to say what they want. Sorry, John.
Yeah.
And all that. So that's what the draw is. So check out the post game show. That's a lot of fun. Give us a rate and review on Apple Podcasts. We had one recently on Apple and on Spotify. So go ahead and follow and rate us and all that stuff on those two platforms as well. And you'll hear this very episode usually Thursday morning, early drop this week, Friday morning, but usually right around that time once a week.
Yeah.
So join us on those platforms too, and listen to us on the car ride too. But listen to us for a second time. There's a lot of information to gather. I get that.
Yeah, and we're funny too. So
we're funny as hell. Like listen to it again. Maybe you'll catch something. Maybe you'll catch a little snide remark.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll do it again. Hey, live episode Wednesday, February 12th, 9:30 Eastern. Okay. Goodbye. Go Bruins.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.